Think about the alarm, that alarm that woke you up this morning.
Yeah, that horrible sound.
Right. Think about the overwhelming, just suffocating pressure of your daily rat race, like the job title you are desperately trying to protect.
The mortgage.
Exactly. The mortgage that basically dictates your waking hours, the social standing you carefully curate for people you, frankly, barely even like.
People you probably despise, if we're being honest.
Right. And you feel trapped. Right. You feel like you are just staggering under the weight of these mandatory, non-negotiable obligations. Well, today we are going to look at a brutal, terrifying truth.
Very terrifying.
You aren't trapped at all. You actively chose this prison. And worse, you are pathologically lying to yourself about it every single day.
Yeah, it's a harsh mirror we are holding up today. The source material for this deep dive doesn't offer any, comforting life hacks.
The morning routine's here.
None of that. We are bypassing all the polite academic fluff. We're dissecting excerpts from this philosophical text called Finite and Infinite Games by James P. Carse. And our objective here is to just completely strip away the moral posturing of everyday life.
We're taking a scalpel to it.
Exactly. We're going to expose the raw, highly controversial mechanics of human behavior that you, the listener, actively avoid thinking about. We're looking at the complete illusion of your power.
Oh, that part is brutal.
It is. The taboo reality of your romantic conquests and really your absolute paralyzing dread of reality itself.
Yeah, so zero platitudes today. I mean, to understand why we are lying to ourselves so deeply, we first have to define the two games of human existence and how we willingly just blindfold ourselves to play one of them.
Right. So Carse argues that human life basically consists of at least two kinds of games.
The first being finite games, which are the games you and I are playing right now. They are played for one singular purpose, which is to win.
Right. They have very strict temporal, spatial, and numerical boundaries.
It's like chasing a high score on a retro arcade game. There is a definitive beginning, a highly structured playing field, strict rules, and a clear end where someone is, declared the victor.
And then in stark contrast, you have the infinite game. An infinite game is played for the sole purpose of continuing the play.
To just keep it going.
Exactly. It's internally defined by the players. The boundaries are constantly eliminated, and the rules absolutely must change in the course of play to prevent any final outcome.
Because if there's an outcome, the game ends.
Right. The whole point is to prevent anyone from winning and bringing the game to a close.
Okay, let's unpack this, because this is where the brutal reality check comes in. Carse writes this foundational rule, and I'm quoting here, "Whoever must play cannot play."
That is such a heavy line.
It really is, meaning you cannot be forced to play a game. Therefore, all finite games, so your corporate career, your marriage, your status in the neighborhood, these are all entered into freely.
You chose them.
You chose them. But to play competitively, to actually fight for the prize, you have to engage in what Carse calls self-veiling.
Self-veiling, yeah. We intentionally blindfold ourselves.
It is exactly it's like scrolling past the terms and conditions on a massive software update and just hitting agree without reading a single word.
Yeah, and then spending the rest of your life acting like the software forced you to do it.
Yes. We trick ourselves into believing we must be the cutthroat lawyer or we must be the sacrificing mother.
Yeah.
But, and I have to push back here.
Okay, go for it.
I mean, look at the real world. What if you were born into extreme poverty or severe political oppression? Or slavery, even? How on earth is that a game you freely choose to play?
Well, it is a profoundly uncomfortable thought, I'll give you that. But Carse does not flinch for the mechanics of it. He argues that even in the most extreme cases of severe oppression, the refusal to play the demanded role might be paid for with terrible suffering or even death.
Right.
But whoever takes up the commanded role still does so by choice.
Wow, that's dark.
It is. But think about it. The oppressor's entire system actually relies on this mechanism. They acknowledge that even the weakest subjects must agree to be oppressed.
Because if they didn't, it wouldn't work.
Exactly. If we were simply unresisting biological automatons, no threat of violence would even be necessary. The threat exists to force the choice.
To force you to veil yourself.
Right, and we veil our freedom. We pretend we have no choice because acknowledging that we are freely choosing the script is terrifying.
Right. We choose the role because we prefer the script to the alternative. And the alternative is just the terrifying void of actual freedom.
The boundless unknown.
Yeah. It is like method acting, but taken to a psychotic extreme. When a method actor plays a part, they don't just put on a costume. They demand that the audience see them as that role.
They want you to believe the illusion completely.
Exactly. We take on these societal roles with absolute seriousness because we dread the open, unpredictable nature of reality. You demand your peers see you as the vice president of sales.
Because if they don't,
If they just see you as a vulnerable biological organism making it up as you go along on a spinning rock, the whole illusion of your life collapses.
that is exactly the distinction Carse makes between playfulness and seriousness. Seriousness is rooted entirely in the dread of unpredictable consequence.
We hate being surprised.
We despise it. To be serious is to press for a specified, guaranteed conclusion. It's a desire to essentially eliminate the future.
Wow.
Yeah. You veil yourself and play your finite games with deadly seriousness because the boundless fluid nature of infinite play is existentially terrifying to you.
So in the infinite game, you don't know what happens tomorrow.
Right. But in the finite game, you have a script. You want to know exactly what happens next.
And once you realize that your entire societal identity is just a self-imposed finite game, we have to look at the prizes you are ruthlessly competing for. Like, why are we playing?
What's the payoff?
What are we trying to win? And this gets incredibly dark. Let's look at power. Carse argues that power is a complete illusion.
A total fabrication.
Yeah. We think of power as some internal biological strength, but it isn't. It is entirely theatrical. You are only powerful if an audience looks backward at a completed past and bestows a title upon you.
That is a crucial distinction. Power is not an action. Power is the ceremonial deference of others.
Ceremonial deference, that's a great way to put it.
You cannot be powerful in the present fluid moment of infinite play. You can only be powerful by proving the game is over and that you won.
It's all in the past tense.
Entirely backward looking. You need the audience to acknowledge your title. But here's the problem. Titles are abstract. They are essentially worthless unless they are visible.
So the finite player invents property.
Exactly.
Property. This is where Carse gets so cynical and so accurate. Property has absolutely nothing to do with utility.
Nope, not at all.
Its only purpose is to make your past victories visible to an audience. You go into, what, $100,000 of debt for a massive, gas-guzzling luxury SUV?
Not because it gets you to the grocery store any better than a used sedan.
Right. You do it because you need the driver in the lane next to you to know that you have won the game of middle management.
Yeah.
Your house, your watch, they're just emblems. They exist to prove to everyone else that you are a master player who has successfully eliminated surprise.
And this framework doesn't stop at material goods, which is where it gets really unsettling. It naturally metastasizes into the most intimate areas of human life.
Relationships.
Yes. The finite player's need to control inanimate objects extends into the need to own and control human beings. Carse applies this to human sexuality, presenting a deeply taboo core concept.
I know where you're going with this.
Finite sexuality, he argues, is a game where the winner's prize is the loser.
Let's really dig into that because it is chilling. The winner's prize is the loser. I mean, you look at modern dating, it is the ultimate finite game interface.
Oh, absolutely.
You are swiping on human beings like you are shopping for property.
Exactly. Seductions, in the finite sense, are staged costume feints. They are theatrical performances designed to come to an end. To reach a final scene where one possesses the other's person as the ultimate form of property. The true value of this property, the partner you've seduced, is their effectiveness in winning the declaration from your audience that you are the master player.
Look at my trophy spouse.
Precisely. Think about the modern wedding spectacle.
Aww.
It is often less about infinite evolving love and much more about a highly staged, incredibly expensive theatrical declaration of property transfer in front of an audience.
It's a hostile takeover dressed up in a tuxedo.
That's a brutal way to put it, but yeah.
But wait, I have to stop here. I have to look at human nature for a second. We are fundamentally power-driven, selfish creatures. We are tribal.
You're playing the Hobbesian realist now.
I am. Because if we don't have these rigid boundaries, if we don't have property laws and marriage contracts and strict societal titles, we descend into absolute chaos and violence. The finite game, no matter how theatrical or cynical, is the only thing keeping us from tearing each other apart.
So you're saying society requires these abstract battles to maintain order?
Yes. Otherwise, it's just blood in the streets.
What's fascinating here is that Carse would argue the exact opposite.
Really?
Yes, society itself is not a natural occurrence holding back the chaos of human nature. Society is just a giant, abstract, finite game trying desperately to conceal the inherent freedom of its citizens.
Oh, wow.
Society demands that a completed past be repeated indefinitely into the future. It operates entirely on the veil of necessity. Authentic culture, on the other hand, is infinite play.
How so?
Culture is concrete, it is open to unexpected possibilities, and it doesn't require rigid boundaries to exist. Society is just our collective attempt to forget that we willfully decided to enter into these brutal contests in the first place.
I mean, I am still not convinced we would survive 5 minutes without those boundaries keeping our darker drives in check.
Fair enough.
But let's see where this logic actually leads, because we have to talk about what happens when this entire theatrical scramble hits a brick wall. What happens when we face the absolute limit? Death. Here's where it gets really interesting, because Carse's explanation of death perfectly diagnoses the collective psychosis of our modern world.
It really does.
Finite players play for life. They view life as a prize to be won at the end of the game. Therefore, death is not a natural conclusion. It is a defeat. It is an insult.
Because finite players are terrified of losing their titles, they seek immortality. But Carse asks, what is immortality? He defines it as a curse.
A curse.
Yes, it is a state of unrelieved theatricality.
Yeah.
Why does the finite player want immortality? Because they want their title to survive.
They want the ego to survive.
They want to leave a legacy so the audience keeps clapping long after they're gone. An immortal soul, in this context, is just a person who cannot help but continue living out a role already scripted.
That sounds like hell.
It is an abstract life you cannot actually live, existing only as a permanently veiled selfhood. It is the ultimate refusal to be a concrete, vulnerable, unpredictable human being.
And we see this mass delusion everywhere today. We are a culture completely obsessed with achieving master player status. Think about our digital alienation, the heavily curated online personas.
The obsession with algorithm predictability in artificial intelligence.
Yes, we are trying to perfectly script our lives. We want to control the future so absolutely that we prevent it from ever altering our past.
We want to eliminate all surprise.
Exactly. We want to be perfectly trained algorithms so that nothing can ever surprise us. Carse says that finite players become their own hostile observers. We're literally dividing ourselves in half, turning ourselves into a paranoid audience, constantly judging our own performance.
Which brings us to the most unsettling part of his philosophy, I think. The true nature of evil.
Yeah, let's go there.
Evil is not losing a finite game. Finite players know the stakes of the games they freely choose. Evil is the termination of infinite play.
What does that mean practically?
It is forcing the recognition of a title, regardless of the rules. Carse describes it as bringing play to an unheard silence.
Unheard silence. He uses the chilling example of the erasure of native languages. When European colonizers landed in North America, they didn't just conquer land.
Yeah, they didn't.
Thousands of distinct languages, poetry, myths, entire ways of perceiving reality silenced. Or the Nazis, who did not compete with the Jewish people for a title within a game, but demanded recognition of their own twisted supremacy by eliminating the play of others entirely.
Right. Evil is attempting to eliminate the play, the culture, the very existence of another.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it raises an incredibly important question about the difference between power and strength.
Huge difference. Power forces an outcome. Power is finite. It restricts freedom, and its entire goal is to close the past and eliminate the future.
And strength.
Strength, however, is paradoxical. A strong person carries the past into the future. An infinite player plays with strength because they allow others to do what they wish in the course of play.
That requires so much vulnerability.
It does. Modern society is decaying before our eyes because our institutions, our technologies, and our individuals are obsessed with accumulating finite power while being utterly terrified of infinite strength.
We want the power to force the world to acknowledge our titles, but we lack the strength to allow the world to surprise us.
We are paralyzed by it.
So, let's look at the radical horizon. Let's extrapolate strictly from Carse's text and abandon the comforting utopian idea that humanity is just going to have some sudden collective awakening.
Not going to happen.
Right, we aren't just going to start skipping through the meadows playing infinite games. If society continues to consume culture and the ultimate goal of the finite player is to eliminate surprise,
Yeah,
we are heading toward a bleak inevitability.
a very dark place. If you follow the text to its logical extreme, the future is a place where the unheard silence wins.
What does that look like?
We're building a completely rigid societal simulation. Think of it as a digital dystopia or techno-feudalism, a world entirely populated by master players who are utterly paralyzed by seriousness.
Just going through the motions.
There is no drama left, only theater. A world permanently divided against itself, where time is merely consumed and used up to maintain titles, never generated to create anything new.
So what does this all mean? If I am listening to this and I realize my entire life is a scripted performance for an audience that doesn't actually care,
Which they don't.
how do I exist in this? I mean, I can't just blow up the finite games. If I try to destroy society's rules by force, I'm just acting out of power, which makes me another finite player trying to force an outcome, right?
That is exactly right. The infinite player understands that you cannot eliminate evil, because the very attempt to forcibly eliminate the play of others is the impulse of evil itself.
You become the thing you hate.
Yes, you do not blow up the finite games, you contain them within infinite play.
How do you actually do that?
You prepare for absolute vulnerability. An infinite player offers their own death, their own endings, their own defeats as a way of keeping the play going for others. They do not play for themselves or for a title. They play for the continuation of the game itself. They expect to be surprised, and they welcome it.
They live in the dramatic, unpredictable moment, not the rehearsed theatrical path.
Exactly.
Okay, let's synthesize this brutal mirror we've just held up. According to this text, you are one of two things. You are a finite player, desperately consuming your limited time on Earth to win a dead title, staging an exhausting theatrical performance for an audience that is just as paranoid and veiled as you are.
Oh.
Or you are an infinite player, generating time, embracing your own mortality, and stepping into the unpredictable, vulnerable drama of actual existence.
It demands a rigorous, unflinching self-audit. Look at the boundaries you defend so fiercely. Look at the rules you claim you absolutely must follow.
You are the one who drew those lines.
You were the one who decided to wear the mask.
So I challenge you. How many areas of your life right now, your aggressive career trajectory, your bitter arguments with your partner, your obsessive tracking of your bank account, are you treating as life or death battles for a title?
It's all an illusion.
You are treating these things like rigid, inescapable laws of physics when they are simply self-imposed boundaries you freely chose to step inside.
The limitations of finite play are always self-limitations.
Which brings us back to that alarm clock and that morning routine and the crushing weight of your rat race. If a finite game only ends when all the players agree on a winner, what happens the day you simply refuse to accept the consensus on who won?
Everything changes.
Who exactly do you become the moment the audience leaves the theater, but you are still standing on the stage?